Can you please let me know whether my presentation is visible?
Yes, visible.
Visible, sir.
Yeah, very good, very good. Shall we wait for 2-3 minutes or shall we proceed?
Anything more than 10 is okay. We can start.
Only 12 participants, sir.
Yeah,
Present.
okay, okay.
Present.
So morning also it was like that only, no?
Max was 18.
Okay. Good. Okay. Let us continue. Yesterday we discussed up to this slide, that is about the effects of functional and dysfunctional conflicts, how it is impacting the performance of the organization and teams. So continuing with that, I just wanted to present you a picture of how the conflicts are arising in the workplace. So here we can see that about 33% of American and UK employees, they feel that miscommunication and lack of communication is one of the causes for conflict at workplace.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Is this a conflict and negotiation?
Yeah, conflict and negotiation. I have combined both of them into one case. And I'm continuing with the conflict where we stopped yesterday.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah. So
Sir,
for 48%.
Can you increase the slide size?
Yeah, let me see.
That's not comfortable to the eye.
Is this better? Some slides are just information, too much data, that you need not bother.
Okay, okay. Go ahead, sir, please.
Yeah. About 48% of the people surveyed, they say that conflict is also caused by intergenerational differences. That is due to differing expectations of the employees about the company's values and their culture. And 56% of Americans, they say that personality clashes are one source of conflict. The same thing holds good like for UK also. About 44% of feel that differences in personality or styles of working is one of the causes. And some other perspective is also there, like conflicting priorities about the task priorities. That is also a cause of concern. And only 10%, a very meager percentage of people, 10% of American employees say that they don't experience any conflict with any department or group or team in their organization. So it means that conflict is a very commonplace across organizations. Wherever there are human beings, probably there is scope for conflict. Next, what are the potential benefits of a functional conflict? So it brings the important problems to the surface so that they can be addressed. So because the conflicts have come into surface, careful consideration is given to the solving them and taking appropriate decisions to resolve or mitigate the problem. Then it also increases the amount of information used for decision making. Just because the conflicts have come up, more research is done, more problem is analyzed from all angles, and then appropriate decision is taken. So because of that, more information is available to take qualitative decisions. Then this also provides an opportunity for creativity. But on the other side, you can see that some potential negative outcomes are there with the dysfunctional conflicts as well. So it dissipates the energies of group members, because you can understand that most of the times interpersonal conflicts are dysfunctional in nature. So such dysfunctional conflicts, they dissipate energies. It hurts group cohesion, like group is getting divided and multiple groups may be formed, one group for and another group against, and there will be group clashes and ego issues and all that may be there. Then it also promotes interpersonal hostilities. Because of the interpersonal issues involved, there is a dysfunctional effect on the team and group. So it promotes hostilities also. It creates a very negative environment at the workplace. It can decrease the performance of the members and their own job satisfaction and efficiency. It can contribute to absenteeism also, and also job turnover because of the problems faced by the group members or team members. People can even leave unable to face the conflicts. Then what are the causes of conflict? Virtual conflict, this arises between people at a superior subordinate level or at team leader level. Normally these conflicts are about resources or goals or deadlines or even the results that are there from the group. Then horizontal conflict is about two people or two groups working at the same hierarchical level. Then line staff conflict is between the line and staff personnel who is having authority and control over the important decisions like budgeting, technology, or human resources, etc. Then how to minimize or manage the interpersonal conflicts. So one suggestion is that regular review of job descriptions, revising, modifying, bringing more clarity to the jobs and their roles. Then establishing rapport and building relationship with all the subordinates or the group members. Then regular reports and sharing the reports and understanding the reports. Training to the group members, group leader in interpersonal relationships, communication, listening skills, and emotional skills. All these group team building, group working, all these things can also be given training. Then whenever there are issues, some mutual agreement can be there, mutual understanding can be there as to what are the procedures for dividing the resources or dividing the tasks like this. That also can be developed mutually between the two conflicting parties. And having regular meetings of both the parties involved in the conflict also helps reduce the tensions. And anonymous suggestion box, this also is a good suggestion. Like if somebody is bringing out issues about people, so that can be a source of information and those issues can be addressed. These are all the steps that can be taken to minimize the interpersonal conflicts. Then some tips are given here as to how to reduce the conflicts through communication and mutual understanding. So you can see that open, curious, and emotionally stable frame of mind is required for all the parties. Then ask the other people in the conflict to describe their perspective of situation, because this party doesn't know what are the perspective of the other party. So it is essential to listen to the other party and understand the nature of conflict from their other party's angle. So whenever the other party is narrating the issues or giving the information, attentive listening is very much required. The focus should be on the issues on hand, not on the who is wrong or who is right. Then acknowledge and demonstrating other person's point of view and understanding their feelings is very important when we are trying to resolve the conflicts. Then apart from listening to the other party about their perspectives, the other party also should present their own perspective of the situation as perceived, not just the facts. Perception and facts can be different. So how you perceive, that alone should be presented. Then refers to other point of others' point of view when you are describing your viewpoint. Ask other people in the conflict for their ideas as to how to overcome these differences. Asking the other person and understanding what is their viewpoint, how to resolve the conflicts is also very important. Then mutually create solutions and incorporate ideas from both parties involved in the discussion. Then there are differences of opinion about in the organization, even among the psychologists and researchers itself. So there are three different views that have been taken about the nature of conflict and its effect on the organization. First one is traditional view of the conflict. So this traditional view feels that all conflict is bad, it is very harmful, and it must be avoided at any cost. This was the prevailing view in the 1930s and 1940s. So what it feels is that conflict, as it increases, it reduces the performance of the team or group or the organization. It feels that the conflict is equivalent to destruction, violence, and it is very irrational. So conflict can, in this scenario, can arise due to poor communication, lack of openness, or failure to respond to the employee needs. As opposed to that view, human relations view or the behaviorist view of the conflict, it feels that all conflict is natural and is inevitable outcome in any group. That means that when people are there, it is natural and it is inevitable. So it is only has to be tackled or managed in an efficient manner. So this view has continued till 1970s, from 1940s. This feels that conflict per se is not bad, it has to be managed. However, the third view, it is interactionist view. This view takes the perspective that conflict is not only a positive force in the group, but is absolutely necessary. It feels that conflict is necessary and is a positive force for improving the performance and enabling the group or team work effectively. This is the current view of these psychologists and researchers in the thought process about the conflict. And this is a very interesting state of conflict philosophies of these three views: traditionalist, behaviorist, and interactionist. You see, all of these theories, they feel that the desired state of conflict is at a certain level. For example, in traditionalist, this thing, because they think that all conflict is bad, for them, the desired level of conflict, that is D. D is 0. So when the actual state of conflict, the actual level of conflict is equal to desired level, the management need not do anything. That is, the action would be doing nothing. But where the actual level of conflict is more than the desired level, action should be taken immediately and the conflict should be resolved. This is the traditionalist view. And behaviorist view similarly holds good, where there is no desired level of, that means where there is no conflict at all, and the management doesn't need to do anything. But where the desired level is 0, that means there is no conflict wanted, but there is actually conflict. Again, the action should be to take steps to resolve the conflict. You see, it is very interesting from the interactionist perspective, where desired level and actual levels are 0, like other two views, nothing needs to be done. Where actual level is higher than the desired level, it is to be resolved. But you see, when here the desired level is not equal to 0. That means they think that it is a positive force and conflict is necessary for effective working of the group. So it feels that there is a certain level of conflict that is desirable. So, but when the actual level of conflict is lesser than that, so management feels that the conflict should be stimulated. So this is the additional perspective in the interactionist view.
Excuse me, sir. Here, how do we describe the actual level and desired level?
We don't describe, that is the decision of the management. If the management takes a perspective that any kind of conflict is bad, they may still hold the view like traditionalist view. It depends on the management of the organization.
No, sir. What my question is, like actual level means if there is an actual conflict as such, or desired level means as it is a desired conflict as such. How do you put it across?
See, when we are talking about desired level or actual level, the organization, for example, there is a conflict between the management and the union.
Okay.
So interactionist view thinks that some level of conflict is acceptable, right?
Okay.
Say there is some disturbance in the work, but overall the production is not affected. There is no other impact on the company or the organization. So that is fine. That is, there is some conflict. Okay. So it is less than the desired level. Okay. Or say it is equivalent to the desired level. So, but the conflict is higher and there are lots of strikes. There is lot of destruction because the people are damaging the property and the production is affected. Then the management will swing into action and tries to resolve. But the conflict itself is not there. Everything is going smoothly. There are no issues. Then the management will try to stimulate the conflict. We'll see how to stimulate the conflict. What are the strategies adopted by the management also? We'll see in the coming slide.
मतलब थोड़ा बहुत conflict होना चाहिए. That is it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like wife and husband, if everything is smooth, there is no maza. Kind of thing, yeah.
Okay, let us restrict to organizational behavior only here.
No, it is equally applicable.
Okay, so conflict management is about resolving the disagreements or conflicts effectively. So what are the ways to manage the conflict? Change the organizational structure, change the composition of the team members, bring in new members or swap their roles, and also creating an opposing force. If there is no opposing force, try to create one opposing force and see that there is a balance between both the teams, and it helps the growth of the team.
So can you please show the previous slide once, last thing?
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you. Interactions. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Consider the majority rule, that is taking decisions through only majority rule, so that there is no disharmony or animosity between the groups. Then solve the problem itself. Conflict management, the resolution can be solving the problem itself. We'll study how to solve the problems while we are going further. Then consider the role of mood. Like people are having negative emotions like anger or depression or distress, anxiety, all this. So that also needs to be taken into account to resolve the conflicts. Like these are all the conflict management techniques. Like resolution, there are a separate set of techniques. For enhancement also, separate techniques are there. So these are all the resolution techniques, like solving the problem itself, having superordinate goals so that everybody is together and everybody's goals get matched with the superordinate goal. Then if there are resources are less, expansion of the resources can be one solution. Then avoidance of the problem. That means the problem is ignored. So that also is one of the resolution techniques. Then smoothing, that means accommodating the other party. Then compromising. Then authoritative command. This means it is a competitive style. one party is trying to win the game. Then altering the human variable, like changing the group members. Then altering the structural variables, like bringing in more, say, levels of people, or new supervisors, or new kind of thing introduced in the group, like that, or improving the communication. You see, like interactionist viewpoint. So when the conflict is not there, so how to enhance the conflict, how to bring up the conflict, bringing in outsiders. So when you bring in outsiders, they will alter the power balance in the group or organization or the team. Then restructuring the organization, reducing the number of levels, or increasing or reducing the workforce, or merging the departments. All this restructuring also can create conflict within the organization between the employees and the management. Then appointing some devil's advocate, trying to incorporate something new. For example, in BSNL, what they did, so when they wanted to reduce the workforce, they didn't directly do it. So they will appoint a consultant. They will bring the consultant and try to get the advocacy that there is organizational restructuring is required, some cost cutting is required, then the reduction of workforce is required. They will try to bring a new opinion, consultant's opinion, which will be useful for taking necessary action. That is reducing the workforce. Then this is the brief about the conflict process. So it is given that some 5 stages are there in the conflict process. So first one is potential, opposition or incompatibility, cognition and personalization. Third one is intentions. Fourth one is behavior. And the last one is outcomes. These are the stages in the conflict process, which we will discuss one by one in brief. So the first stage is potential, opposition or incompatibility. This can happen due to the issues in communication, or in the structure, or in the personal variables. So in the communication, can be semantic difficulties, misunderstandings in the communication, or excess communication, or some disturbances in the communication channels, or encoding or decoding. Anywhere the noise can come up. Then comes the structure, the size and specialization of the jobs. If the size is very huge and the number of specializations are many, it can cause incompatibility and also bring up conflicts between the people working in the groups or teams. Then jurisdictional clarity or ambiguity may be there, who has to do what. Then member goal incompatibility, like members are having different goals. So that is why we said about bringing superordinate goals, so that everybody's goals get matched with that one. Then leadership style. The leadership style are adopted by the leader. That is also one factor that can bring conflict. This is at the beginning stage. It will be the starting stage. Like reward systems. Some two groups are trying to compete for the resources, or influence the management or the leader. Then that will also be a potential opposition, or conflict can arise because of it. Then dependence or interdependence of those groups. If there is task dependency or resource sharing dependency, then that can also create a problem. Then personal variables, like it can be of the leader or it can be of the members also. They have different individual value systems and also different personality types. Personality type A, type B, we know all that. If there is personality differences, that also will be causing conflicts and differences. Then the second stage is that of cognition and personalization. At this stage, the problems are cognized, recognized, and also personalized. That means there is a personal level action takes place. Here, the conflict is like it is defined as perceived conflict. That is awareness by one or more parties about the existence of the conditions that create the opportunities for conflicts to arise. Then personalization takes place through expression of emotions, like emotional involvement in a conflict, creating anxiety, tension, or frustration, or hostility. This is the second stage. Then about the resolution of the conflict, how it is intended to be resolved. So the intentions of the parties can be like it can range on five types of conflict handling intentions are there. Here we can see there are two dimensions. One is assertiveness, the other is cooperativeness. So cooperativeness means the parties are trying to satisfy the other party's concerns. By cooperating, they are trying to understand and accommodate the other party. Whereas in assertiveness, the focus is on satisfying our own concerns and our own goals, achieving our own goals. This we'll discuss in little bit detail while trying to resolve the how the model is there for resolution of the conflicts through negotiation styles. Then fourth one is behavior, like use of resolution and stimulation techniques, whether based on the conflict, whether it is existing or not existing, whether it is to be resolved or to be stimulated to achieve the desired level of conflict. That is the conflict management. This we have seen, how to manage the conflict. Then conflict intensity continuum. What happens when there is no conflict and when the conflict comes to a stage where it is having deep impact. So it will start with minor disagreements or misunderstandings. Then it comes into the surface through overt questioning, that is open questioning and challenging of others. Then starts the verbal attacks. Then people are given threats and ultimatums over the issues. Then aggressive physical attacks also may take place. Then destruction is aimed at harming the other party. These are all the behaviors that can occur during the course of a conflict. Then outcomes. What is the outcomes of conflicts? We understood about functional and dysfunctional effects of the conflicts. So here we can see if the conflict is functional, it will increase the group performance, it will improve the quality of decisions, it will stimulate creativity and innovation. It will also generate interest, motivation, and curiosity in the people. Then it is also a medium for solving problems. That means because the conflict has come up, it is a medium for solving the problem. Then it also helps in creating an environment for self-evaluation and change of the members or leaders. Similarly, the conflict can be dysfunctional also. So it will give rise to discontent among the members. Then it will reduce the group effectiveness. Communication may go down because of the conflicts. Then reduced group cohesiveness. The groups are divided, the people are divided. So there is no group cohesiveness. Decision making is not easy. Communication is difficult. Then there will be infighting among the group members that will affect the group goals. So creating functional conflict. So how to create functional conflict? Through rewarding dissent. Whoever is dissenting, they can be rewarded or encouraged. And also punish the conflict avoiders, whoever are trying to avoid the conflict or any disagreement or any other opposition. So punish them so that the conflict comes out. Yeah, here you see Thomas and Killman has given a model of conflict resolution. Here, as we saw at that time, one of the behaviors, intentions of the parties. So it is on two dimensions. One is assertiveness. Can you see here? Assertiveness is for concern for self, trying to maximize our gains. Then the other dimension is cooperativeness. In cooperativeness, you are showing concern for others, and there you are taking into account their perspective, trying to accommodate. So based on these two dimensions, there are 5 different styles. You can see that there is competitive style. That means you are trying to bargain. You are trying to win over. It means that you want to win at any cost. So what happens if you are winning, the other party is losing. So if it is a fight for a resources, that if you are getting the resources, other party is the loser. So this is the competitive style. Then second one is avoiding. Avoiding means the party is there to tries to avoid, just ignore the conflict, do nothing. They think that by sitting on it, the problem will get resolved or go away by itself. This is another style. Then compromising. In compromising, what is happening? Both the parties find a middle ground. That means they don't get the optimum results, they get the satisfied results. Then both of the parties will give up something and try to arrive at some negotiated solution. It is just expedient. It doesn't solve the problem in a permanent way. Problem can come up again, or it can become bigger also. So this is about compromising. Then accommodating. Accommodating is you are trying to accommodate the other party and give up. If it is about the sharing of resources, you are trying to say that, okay, you take everything, I don't bother. At least I don't worry about it for the time being. So this is by trying to accommodate the other party. This is also called smoothing. So, but there is a problem, like the other party can think that you are weak and they can take advantage of you.
But for the time being, he is buying peace.
Yeah, for the time being, you are buying peace. You are just trying to postpone by buying peace. Maybe some long-term interests are there. So you think that by accommodating the other party, it will be helpful in the future. Then collaboration. This is the best method. Like both the parties sit together and understand their perspectives, bring up more and more options, solutions, which can be thoroughly discussed, and the best solution can be adopted. Here, there is no winner or loser. Both the parties are actually winners. This is called like integrative bargaining. We'll come to that point also at the end of this. So here some advantages and disadvantages of each style is given. You can just go through. So for example, one negotiation example we have taken, like a conflict between two parties. A beet farmer is selling their beets to the highest bidder. There are two bidders, like one team A and team B. Team A is having 50,000 and they need all of the beets because they are planning to create a medicine that could save thousands of people who are currently facing a life-threatening disease. Team B, they also have 50,000. They also need all the beets and they plan to use them to fuel a machine that will predict and stop terrorist attacks, saving thousands of lives. So how do they negotiate about it? This is just a food for thought for your own understanding and how to approach, how they will be able to resolve the problem and how they will, which style they will adopt, just to try and understand. So what exactly the negotiation process looks like? So negotiation process starts with preparation and planning. All these stages we'll discuss one by one. This preparation and planning also includes development of a strategy called PATNA, best alternative to a negotiated settlement. Then second stage is definition of ground rules. Third one is clarification and justification. Fourth one is bargaining and problem solving. Fifth one is closure and implementation. Let us see these in a little more detail. So the first stage is preparation and planning. Here the negotiator has to do a thorough homework. He will have to seek answers to several questions like what is the nature of conflict, what is our own perspective, what is the perspective of the other party also, to what extent the negotiation should go on. Then who are the parties involved, what is our own goal. These are all the points that are to go in the preparation stage. Then the ground rules, like here, it will be thought about who will do the negotiation, where it will happen, how long it will take place, what happens if the negotiations fail. All such issues are defined before starting the negotiation process. Then third stage, during the actual negotiation, when it starts. So at this stage, both the parties try to clarify their own perspectives, their own problems as they perceive it, and try to explain, amplify, clarify, or justify their demands so that it helps in effective discussion and conflict resolution. Then fourth stage, bargaining and problem solving. This is the actual stage where the problem will be discussed and solution will be arrived at. Here, the focus should be on the problems, not the perceived problems. It should be on the actual problems. Here, the focus should be on the issues only and not the persons or their behaviors or personalities. So when there is focus, then that will help in arriving at a negotiated solution. Then last step is closure and implementation. Once the negotiation agreement is arrived at, then formality of trying to execute an agreement, bringing out all the common points, terms and conditions, who has to do what, when, by what timelines, what happens if the negotiated agreement is not agreed. All these points are discussed, and there may be a signed agreement also between both the parties. In some cultures, they don't insist on a signed, negotiated, written agreement. Like Chinese, they don't believe in anything writing. So they just understand and come to a conclusion and close the negotiation process. So I refer to something called PATNA. So that is abbreviation, best alternative to a negotiated settlement. Sorry, negotiated agreement. This is the lowest acceptable value or outcome for any party to be accepted in a negotiated agreement. We'll just discuss, we'll understand through an example. This is the bottom line for negotiation. Without this, it is not advisable to go in for any kind of negotiation. So how to go about determining one's PATNA? First is identify all the possible alternative courses of action. Then make promising ideas concrete. They should not be any just perceived or imaginary. Whatever these solutions you are likely to come up, they should be real and fact-based. Then choose the best option, which is giving the maximum benefit financially. So here we are trying to understand the concept of PATNA through an example. Here there is a buyer and a seller. The buyer is asking for a amount of, say, 3 lakhs for a property. Or say, let us say it is a vehicle. So the buyer is offering 3 lakhs. I am willing to sell at 3 lakhs. Sorry, the seller is offering a selling price of 3 lakhs. And the buyer, he will not want to buy, it is for 300,000, that is 3 lakhs. So he wants to buy for less. So here the buyer will have some maximum price which he can pay. And the seller will have some price in his mind that below which price he will not sell his car. So each one will have his own resistance point and also the best possible price. So here you can see the buyer is willing to start somewhere here and the seller is not willing to sell anything below this rate. Can you see here?
Yeah.
So the bargaining takes place between the resistance point of both parties. So somewhere in between, they settle down for any negotiated settlement. That means that buyer will not pay the maximum amount that the seller is asking, and the seller will not sell to the least price the buyer is likely to take it. So here, this is just a summary of negotiating process. You can just go through in detail. Then what are the common negotiation pitfalls? So at the starting of negotiations, it is presumed that there is a fixed price, pie. That means there are some fixed set of resources. Only those can be acquired. That means either I have to get it or the other party may get it. But this is only this kind of understanding can be hampering the negotiation. So we have to go with open mind and try to see that even the pie can be expanded. That means both people can have a larger share instead of one getting the benefit and the other losing it. Then escalating commitment. Then once you take any stand, you are trying to stick to that stand. So that is not very useful. You are stuck up somewhere. So even if the other party is willing to negotiate, you are not participating in it, you are not cooperating in it. So you are very assertive. So that will hamper the negotiation. Then overconfidence. Try and understand the merits of other parties' position and other parties' proposals also. Then that will be very good to break the ice and arrive at a solution. Then other pitfall is that you are always talking, you are not doing enough listening. So you may miss some points. You may not be able to understand the other's viewpoint. So that will be a negative factor in the negotiation. While you need to be understood by the other party.
Sir, that fixed pie, can you please explain again?
Yeah, fixed pie means suppose there are some resources for which their conflict has arisen. Okay, so here the problem is instead of thinking that it is only either I have to get it or I will not allow it to happen. So they together come up with better solution wherein neither party is losing. It is not at the cost of other party. Like it is, say for example, they are trying to divide territories, right? So instead of one person trying to say that I am only going to take up this territory, or I am only going to have this kind of resources. So they together try and find out innovative solutions so that both parties are benefited, not just one.
That means win-win situation.
That is win-win situation. Exactly. So when we see that from that point of view, you can see the competitive style is win-lose. That means I win and you lose, right? Then collaborating, it is both
Win-win.
Win-win.
Yes.
Right? Accommodation,
Win-lose.
lose-win.
Lose-win.
Okay, I am trying to accommodate myself to the other party. I am sacrificing something in the larger interest or long-term interest or future relationships. So that is accommodating. Lose-win. I am allowing the other party to win at my cost. So that is loose wind style.
Thank you.
Yeah. So some more common mistakes that can come, like your ego can come into way of discussions. You sit on a high stand, you take a different stand, and you don't allow yourself to be in what do you call? You are not open to discussion. You are not willing, so that will be a problem. Like having unrealistic expectations, that also will be a problem.
Sir,
like,
1 second.
Yeah.
In my personal view, most of the conflicts are due to the first one, ego.
Correct, sir.
Yeah, most, I would say.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That is what we have seen the statistics also at the beginning of the today's. So in personal issues, even oversharing of resources or anything, there it is also a kind of personality clash only, though it may be something related to the resources or the structure or tasks. Basically, again, it boils down to the personalities and their ego, how they take the stand. Then some tips for negotiation, like we have to think that everything is negotiable. We should not feel that some things are beyond negotiation. For example, if somebody is going for a salary job, so they can negotiate everything. He can ask for everything. So if the other party wants to give, they may give or they may not give, but there is nothing wrong in asking for it. And another tip is like when you are going to negotiate, you can first open your cards. You yourself can open the first card. And for example, in the previous example we have taken, like you say that, okay, I'm willing to sell this vehicle for 3 lakhs.
300,000, yes.
Yeah, 300,000. You will say that it is my price. So you are opening the cards, and what will happen? All the discussions will center on that point, and the starting point itself will be 3 lakhs. So that will have an anchoring effect. So everything will come down from there. This can be done by people who are having either very good, strong power in the conflict between the two parties, or if the parties are equal. Even if they are equal also, they can try and play this game. Then what to do before negotiation? Thorough homework is required, like understanding the problem, the other's perspective, or resources, everything, are the people who are going to come from the other end. All this is very important. Then also understand that negotiation is a balancing act that will be focusing on good outcomes for yourself and also try to maintain a long-term relationship with the other party. Then what are the issues in negotiation? Then personality traits. For example, extroverts and agreeable people, they are not good at negotiation, distributive negotiation. We'll come to that distributive or integrative negotiation in a minute, right? So these people are considered not good for negotiation. So disagreeable introvert, a person who is not agreeable and who is an introvert, he is the best person. He will disclose his mind, but sit tight without getting into the discussion. So the anchoring point will be his point. So that is a good strategy. And we may think that if people are intelligent, they can negotiate effectively, but it is a very weak indicator of effectiveness. He or she may be successful or not. Whether the intelligent person is successful or not, will not be able to assess or predict in advance. Mood and emotion also can play a role. So, for example, sometimes you can show anger. It is not actual anger, but you can show anger while you are trying to gain the maximum out of the negotiation. Then positive moods and emotions will definitely help in integrative bargaining. That is, both parties are trying to maximize their benefits and trying to expand the resources. Then gender, it is seen that men and women both negotiate the same way. There is not much difference, though they may have different outcomes.
Just it was International Women's Day. So we can say women negotiate better most of the times. Yeah.
Then women and men take gender stereotypes in negotiation, like they may be tender. Women may take a tender stance, while the men may take a tough stance in negotiations. Then women are less likely to negotiate. They may give more. They are not very much likely to get the maximum out of negotiation. This is just some understanding based on the researchers. Then other issues like culture and conflict, how it affects. For example, Japanese and US managers view conflict very differently. US managers, they are likely to use competing tactics, that is getting the maximum for themselves, while Japanese adopt a completely different style, either to compromise or to avoid. This is based on the cultures, that is Western culture, and this is Eastern culture. Exactly almost opposite. Then cultural differences in negotiation, this also can be there. American negotiators are more likely than the Japanese to make a first offer. They will offer, they are more forthcoming. So then North Americans also use facts and logic to persuade. As compared to that, the Arabs use their emotions to persuade. These people use logic and rationality. Arabs use emotion, and Russians use assertive style. And in negotiations, it is seen that Brazilians say no more number of times than Americans or Japanese. They are very firm. They are very assertive. No many number of times. So that can impede the outcome of the negotiation. Then if the negotiation is not happening through mutual understanding, so what can be done? There are 4 methods, like we can go for a mediator. A mediator is a conciliator who conciliates between the 2 parties. And this conciliator is a trusted third party on whom both the parties place confidence. He only facilitates a communication link between them so that they arrive at a agreement mutually. He's just a mediator. You remember Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, in Mahabharata, he is trying to mediate between Pandavas and the Kauravas. So he is sent as a mediator. Then consultant, he is a skilled third party who tries to facilitate the problem solving through communication analysis, because he is having knowledge about both the parties and also he is subject matter expert or whatever. So he is able to give consultation and help in the resolution of the conflict. Then mediator, sorry, I think it has come twice. Sorry, first one is conciliator. By mistake, I typed something. That is a conciliator. Then mediator. Mediator is trying to resolve through reasons and persuasion. Suggesting alternatives. There it was, communication channel was being opened. And also there is another method called arbitration. It is a third party who is having the authority to dictate an agreement to both parties. This is an advantage over mediation because it always results in a settlement. That means the arbitrator will give a decision either for or against one party. There is definitely some decision is given. Whether the parties agrees or not, there may be several other options that may be available to the parties affected with the arbitration award. So coming to the last point, negotiation. There are basically 2 kinds of strategies. One is distributive approach. That is, we think that there is only one resource which is to be either grabbed by me or to be given to the other party. It's not like that. When you are having a distributive approach, both can enjoy it. So here the value claiming. I am trying in distributive approach, sorry, one party is trying to gain at the cost of the other party. Here, I win, you lose. That is the concept. So, for example, here we can see when we are working in BSNL, we were not having sufficient number of vehicles to do outdoor work. Marketing team also wants it. Operation team also wants it. Then finance team also wants it because they need to collect the juice from the customers' doorsteps. So distributive approach means if the vehicles are required, there are certain number of vehicles. Those vehicles have to be allotted to only one of the wing. If one party wins, the other party will lose. Then integrative approach. Here the both parties look for innovative ways to benefit from the common pool. The same set of resources, they try to maximize. For example, if the management is very capable, they will say that, okay, I will allot these vehicles 2 days to operations team, 2 days to marketing team, and 2 days to finance team for doing their respective job. So it is a win-win situation for all the parties. There is some compromise. Everybody is not getting everything, but you are trying to create value. Everybody is getting benefited. So what are the characteristics of these two styles? The goal of distributive bargaining is I'll get all the things I can. I win, you lose. Motivation is I win, you lose. The focus is on the positions. That means I should get it. Then the information sharing, his own strategies, they will not share. It will be very low. Duration of relationship, that means I am only worried about the short term. Let me get what all I can get. But in integrative approach, the focus is on expanding the pie, how both the parties will try and win. It is targeting win-win situation. The focus is on interests of both parties, not on fixed positions they take. Here they are sharing information, they are disclosing their options, they are disclosing their interests, they are disclosing their what do you call? They are disclosing their presumptions. Then the duration is long term. They are interested in long term benefit, long term relationship. So that looks for integrative bargain. So here you can see in distributive bargaining, the pie is fixed. So we'll try to get the maximum pie as much as possible. Even if it is shared, it will be shared half. But when it is integrative bargaining, so the pie itself will get expanded and both of them would be benefited than they would have benefited through distributive kind of bargaining. Just a minute, friends.
Sir, Starbucks లో నోట్స్ పంపించండి సార్.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Starbucks కి నోట్స్ పంపండి సార్.
Alage.
Share the chat box. PPT.
So coming to the next presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, friends, please ensure that I don't get into any problem. I am sharing the PPTs just so that you are able to concentrate well. Uh, uh, you can strengthen your understanding of the concepts and it will help you. But
Sure, sir.
drag my name into any controversies. Okay? Don't say that this person is sharing, you are not sharing, or don't tell the university people that someone is sharing, the other one is not sharing. Don't tell me like that. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Thank
So,
you.
so we are coming to the next chapter. This is next unit. This is belonging to the last block about the human resource practices. So here the topic is about recruitment and selection process. So far we already know that human resources are very important to the organizations. The success or failure of any organization is largely dependent on the skills and abilities of the people, that is employees. Then if they are able to give positive and creative contributions, the organizations will definitely progress and prosper. So why is HR, human resource management, important? Because it can be a significant source of competitive advantage. Some of the firms and businesses, they use their human resources as a competitive advantage. That means it is for some people, it may be the processes. For some people, it may be the systems. For some people, it may be other physical resources or financial resources. But it is seen that some organizations or some businesses can even use human resources, its quality of its human resources as a competitive advantage. Then, as comes to human resources, planning is very important. Like any other aspect in organization, planning is very important. So in planning human resources, the first one step is like understanding or assessing the current human resources and then how to meet those human resources needs. So how future needs of organizations can be met? You have to understand the organization's mission, goals, and their strategies. Based on that, your future human resources management has to take place. Many companies do not carefully scrutinize the qualifications or backgrounds of the employees. There may be a mismatch or misfit between the organizational culture and the employees that are coming. So that can also impact the performance negatively. So this is the overall picture of the human resource management in any organization. It starts with planning for future, for the present and the future. It can either include recruitment or decruitment. Decruitment is nothing but some retrenchment or downsizing. So that also can be one strategy. This also has to be planned. It has to be a planned activity. So here, recruitment. In recruitment can be done through selection, where people are identified and selected for given employment. Then once they are selected and deployed, they will be given some orientation about the company, its culture, its working, then given some training. And once they start working, then their performance will be continuously be evaluated for either further training or removal or taking away from service, and also for designing compensation and other benefits packages to employees, or it can be for further executive development or career development of the people. This is the overall scenario of the HRM process. So what is recruitment? So the first step in this starts with recruitment in human resource management. So this is the process of finding and attracting capable applicants for the employment in any organization or any business. This process begins when new recruits are sought and ends when selections are completed and new people are onboarded into the organization. So what is the nature of recruitment? It is a linking activity between the employer and prospective employees.
Yeah.
It is basically to locate the sources of people among wide array of applicants who will meet the job requirements. It is a pervasive function. That means it's a very extensive function. It is a two-way process. That means that it takes both people, recruiter and recruitees, both together, not one-way process. What is the purpose of recruitment? To attract diverse skills, aligned people who are aligned with organizational strategies, which are aligned with organizational strategies. Then bringing in external candidates, bringing from outside. If your recruitment is through outside people, they will bring fresh insights and also fresh leadership into the organization. This we saw that even that Sergio Macchiani was brought into the Fiat company from outside.
Okay.
Then recruitment is also to continuously add new talent at all levels. You may be seeing several recruitment notifications in banks and other organizations. They are trying to induct people at several levels. For example, in banks, they do scale 1, scale 2, scale 3, as AGM level, senior GM level, like this. At different levels, they try to continuously add people. So it is to promote a culture that attracts and retains top talent. Then what are the types of recruitment? It can be a planned type of recruitment, like due to changes arising in organization or retirement policy. If the retirement policy, due to retirement policy, the age is being brought down. So the number of new recruits will go up, given the same number of posts or vacancies. Like anticipated, if the business is likely to be expanded due to expanding markets, and so then also recruitment can go up. Due to unexpected reasons also, there can be requirement to recruit people. For example, like COVID, it is affecting lots of people and several employees are lost. We can see that in organizations like banks and say essential services. A number of deaths took place in the employees. So they had to fill those vacancies. So what are the factors governing recruitment? Recruitment is a very complex process and influenced by various internal, external factors.
Right.
So what are the external factors like? How other organizations are competing? What are their policies? Like they are trying to also recruit. So what are their strategies? What are our strategies? If the same set of skilled people are trying to be recruited by other organizations, what should be our strategy? It also depends on these kind of external factors. Then the people itself, what are the career opportunities available outside? Then regulations by the government. Then supply and demand of the applicants matching the requirement of the organization. Then the unemployment rates. Then the labor market conditions. Then internal factors can be like internal working conditions, whether the conditions are good or not, work environment is good, there are issues, there is a lot of dissatisfaction in the organization, then all these factors can also impact the recruitment. Then promotional opportunities for the internal, if there is larger quotas for the internal people, then it can affect the outside recruitment. Then salary and benefits, other compensation packages given. Then HR policies and practices by the organization. Then organization's own image. You can see that certain organizations, they are having a positive image. They are able, whenever they are coming to recruit from outside, they will have large number of applications. Like all these big companies like Google, Apple, then Amazon, all these are having very positive image that they promote a very good work culture. They give a lot of scope for innovation, and they are giving very good packages like this. All these factors also affect the recruitment. Then the management's ability to attract the candidates.
Then,
yes,
sir, that previous one kindly.
yeah.
Then perhaps what you said at the end, work culture, that is, in my view, the most important thing. So somewhere it can figure their internal factors.
Yeah, working conditions, it is there, no? So
Work culture includes all those things, sir. You see, conditions plus management's ability to attract, organizational image, how the people behave in the organization, etc. You said that work culture, it is wonderful. Go ahead, sir, please.
Correct. So only he has, instead of saying in one single word, he has put in so many points, that's all. So sources of recruitment can be internal sources. That is when the existing vacancies can be filled through promotions also. Then external sources, through open recruitment, it can happen from a large pool of candidates. Basically, it will be trying to fill at entry-level jobs, that is the jobs for beginners, to acquire the skills that are not possessed by current employees. That also is a reason for going for external sources. Then if you want to get employees or people with different background, like different culture, these days, inclusivity is a buzzword, diversity, inclusivity. So if you want people from different experience, different cultures, different gender, so you will try to recruit from outside. Then these are some of the recruitment sources. What are the advantages and disadvantages? You can just go through. The sources can be through internet and other social media networking sites. Then employee referrals. This is also a very popular mode these days. Then advertising through the company website. Then recruitment through colleges and institutions, like placements through institutions. Then going for professional recruiting organizations, that is outside. When the organizations, they don't take up on their own, but they engage a third party. So that also will be a recruiting source for the organization. Then selection. Selection is a very important activity. This is basically about picking the candidates with appropriate skills and abilities into the organization. So having understood recruitment and selection, let us try and understand a little bit deeper, because sometimes these two concepts may be used interchangeably, but they are not exactly the same. So what is the meaning of recruitment? Recruitment is the activity of establishing a contact between the employers and the applicants, whereas selection is process of picking the competent people and making them the employees. Then objective is to attract a large number of candidates into the recruitment process, whereas selection is picking the right person and rejecting the unfit or unsuitable persons. Then recruitment process is fairly a simple one, but selection is a very complicated process. Then approach, the recruitment, you are trying to get maximum people, so that is called a positive approach. In selection, it is a negative approach because you are trying to eliminate many people and reduce the number of candidates who are eligible to fill the posts. Then sequence, recruitment precedes selection and selection follows recruitment. With the recruitment comes first, followed by selection. Then economy, in terms of cost to the company or the organization who's involved in this process. This recruitment is a economical method, but selection is expensive method. Expensive process, you can say, not a method. Then recruitment is not very time consuming because it starts with advertisement, once the applications are, till the applications are received, that is a very small time, maybe 15 days or maybe 30 days or 45 days. But selection takes a longer time. It may even take months. In some cases, the organizations are taking even years together to select the people. That is also possible. This happens mostly in government and the public sector organizations. Then while recruiting, while selecting people, selection tests are normally conducted. What are these selection tests? They are the procedures for determining the candidate's suitability for the jobs. It is having two objectives. One is trying to find out what undesirable traits the applicant have. And other one is what characteristics the candidate is having that are related to or fitting the job requirement. So two important factors here in selection is reliability and validity. Whatever tests you are doing for selecting the candidates, they should be reliable and also valid. You are aware about these concepts in research methodology. You would have already learned that for any successful test, you must be having, the test must be reliable and it must be valid. The reliability means there is consistency in getting the results. When you are testing, the results should be the almost same or similar. There should not be a wide difference. So if there is consistency in the results, then the test is called reliable test. Then validity. If the test is measuring what it is supposed to measure, then it is supposed to be a valid test. Otherwise, it will not be a valid test. So while selection tests are being deployed, it should be ensured that tests are reliable as well as valid. Without these, the selection process will not be effective. Then the selection criteria. One is organizational fit, whether the candidate's attributes or characteristics are fitting the organizational's needs. Second, functional and team fit, whether the person will be able to meet the requirements of the department or the team. The skills are matching or not. Then job fit. From the job analysis also, from the job description and the person's specification, whether they are matching or not. All these are seen. Then the selection process, how it takes place. There will be initial selection, substantive selection, and contingent selection. In initial selection, you get all the applications, and the first stage, what you do, you are trying to reduce the number of eligible candidates. So what you will do, you will screen the applications and straight away reject those who are not meeting the criteria. Then in substantive selection, people who are all meeting the requirement, but also less qualified people may be there, so they also will be rejected. Then contingent selection, applicants who are the best available are selected, but contingent selection will happen and others will be rejected. That means the shortlisted candidates will be selected for doing further tests like drug test and police verification and background checking, and all this can also happen. So the initial selection is done through application forms, sometimes simply through background checks also this can happen. Then substantive selection, in some organizations, written tests and performance simulation tests, all these are conducted. Written test can be for assessing the intelligence or personality, integrity, interest type. But one thing is known that intelligence tests are the best predictor across all jobs. Then these are all just a brief about the nature of these tests. Then In the selection process, interviews play a very important role. It is most frequently used tool, but it can be biased towards the candidates who interview well. There are three kinds of interviews: unstructured, structured, and behavioral structured. Like unstructured is the most common. The questions can come out of the box thinking, like it will be on the spot. They are not pre-determined questions. So this is the most common method and least predictive. You cannot predict the kind of questions that may be asked, how the interview course goes on. Then structured, here there is you are trying to structure the interview and ask only the questions based on the requirement, and there is very less chance for bias. You will examine only from the point of view of your requirement. It is not unstructured. Most of the jobs of technical nature, they will have a structured approach, but for management and senior levels, it will be an unstructured approach. Then behavior structure. So sometimes there may be people may be required in this marketing and this service sector. So their behavior is also assessed. That kind of interview also can be taken. Then interview, we can understand that it is a conversation between the applicant and the employer. Most popular device for employee selection. It is done normally one-to-one, face-to-face. Most of the times it happens across the table. Sometimes it may be conducting an interview online also. The structuring of the interview may vary, as we have just seen. The screening interview, that sometimes preliminary screening may be done. At this stage, whoever are not eligible, they will be taken away from the list. Shortlisted candidates for further screening, further selection interview. Selection interview, we have just discussed non-directive or directive interview or structured interview. So there are certain principles of interviewing given by FLIPO. This is a very popular method. These principles are used. Are you able to see, friends?
Okay, we are seeing.
Yeah, good. So basically there are certain, it says 3 principles, but I have tried to elaborate into detail from the only first 3 steps are given in the book. So from that I have arrived at the other points also. So the first one is preparation. So a lot of planning has to go into the interviewing stage. This is the most important part of the selection procedure. So the interviewers, those who are interviewing the candidates, they should have basic knowledge about the interview itself. Like they should be well conversant about the candidates who are coming for the interview. That means all the applicants would have submitted their applications or online information. So before the candidates come into the interview room, so the interviewer is supposed to know about the candidate, and they should be directly trying to evaluate the candidate or talk to the candidate. So this is preparation, prior preparation. And when the actual interview setting takes place, the interview happens, then the interview room, ambience, all these things should be taken care of. It should be kept attractive as much as possible because you are trying to attract the best talent. Then during the interview setting itself, how the candidate is presenting himself at the time of entry, whether he is giving a shabby appearance or is he smart looking. You can have some kind of assessment or idea or judgment about the candidate at the beginning stage of the interview itself. This is at the interview, before the interview, at the interview setting itself. And during the actual course of the interview, this is the real action stage where the interview is taking place. The interviewer first tries to build a rapport or relationship with the interviewee, the candidate. He will just ask a general questions to put the candidate at ease. Then the candidate